Well, this week in our community spotlight, a piece of presidential history is currently undergoing restoration right in Bemidji. Our Josh Peterson takes a look at our 41st president's training steerman.
Tucked away on the south side of Bemidji, a piece of history is being restored. This training steerman prepared U.S. Navy pilots for battle, but this particular plane trained our 41st president, George Herbert Walker Bush.
And its main history is that George Bush Sr. flew it 2 flights in the winter of '43 in his primary training.
President Bush flew this plane during the harsh Minnesota winters at the Wold Chamberlain Airfield, what is now known as MSP International. His first flight was recorded on November 21st, 1942, and his last was on February 9th, 1943, logging over 82 and a half hours. But planes like this are not made to last forever. That is why it was brought here to Air Corps Aviation in Bemidji.
The previous owner that had it, he had disassembled it and was beginning to start the restoration process, and he cataloged everything and took it apart. And at that point he had another business deal that he needed some money for, and so he really didn't want to sell the airplane, but he decided he would. And so we heard about it and purchased it from him and loaded it up in a truck and hauled it back to Bemidji.
The steerman was officially documented as flown by President Bush through his flight log, which was then confirmed by the U.S. military in Pensacola. But the honor of being able to restore a piece of history and use it as an educational tool is what makes this project extra special.
Our goal is trying to preserve history so that people can see the artifacts and see them fly, hear them run, smell the burning oil from the engine and all. I mean, those things, you can't describe that.
Piece by piece, the steerman begins to take shape, hunting and picking for parts all over the United States. Then it will be completely assembled and tested. 3 craftsmen working tirelessly to authenticate and restore one part at a time.
Even though this plane will be ready to fly in just a couple weeks, the goal is to reunite it with the nation's 41st president.
When we get it done, there's an air show down there this fall, I think in October, and we'd like to try to get it down there and somehow get a reunion with him in the airplane.
President Bush's signature will now be a permanent part of the plane. It is the hope of this craftsman that the 41st president will see one last flight in the steerman where it all began. With this week's Community Spotlight, I'm Josh Peterson for Lakeland News.
The steerman should be ready for its first test flight in a couple of weeks. The plane's first appearance will be in the Air Venture Air Show on July 20th in Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
If you've enjoyed this segment of Lakeland News, please consider making a tax-deductible contribution to Lakeland Public Television.